على بعد ساعة ونص من العاصمة البريطانية لندن، وبالتحديد في مدينة تامورث. أحداث هذه الحلقة من برنامج الحضيرة راح تكون في مزرعة غارلند. حياكم الله مشاهدينا الكرام في حلقة جديدة من برنامج الحضيرة. حياكم.
يختار بعض المربين للصقور إطلاق الطيور في الحكبن، معللين ذلك بالحفاظ على صحة وسلامة الصقور وعلى خوفهم من أن تذهب بعيدا بدون رجعة، بينما يذهب البعض الآخر إلى إطلاق الطيور في البرية غير مبالين من مخاطر أن تشرد الصقور بعيدا في الغابات وترسل رسالة الوداع لصاحبها. ومن بين هؤلاء إيان غارلند، مالك مزرعة غارلند فالكونز في ضواحي العاصمة البريطانية لندن. هذا الرجل اختار أن يدرب صقوره في الطبيعة وأن يجعل طيوره تعيش بحرية مطلقة كما لو أنها ليست على ملك أحد. أقفاص منتشرة هنا وهناك في أرجاء المزرعة، منها ما خصص للطعام ومنها ما جعل مصيدة لمن أكمل معسكره التدريبي ليعود إلى غرف العناية قبل استكمال مراحل تربيته إلى حين بيعه لمن يرغب في ذلك. قصة أخرى تضاف إلى عالم تربية الصقور، هذه المرة من مزرعة غارلند فالكونز على بعد ساعة من العاصمة البريطانية لندن.
حياكم الله مشاهدينا الكرام. سيدي أن غارلند هو ضيفنا في هذا اليوم في برنامج الحضيرة، والحديث راح يكون مشوق، راح ناخذكم في زوايا خاصة. Ian, first of all, welcome on Yas TV. Thank you for having us in here in your farm, and let's talk about the place. Where are we, and where are we going to take us today?
Yep. Well, welcome to the farm.
Thank you.
So I'd like to show you our breeding and some of the falcons, and also the wild hacking, which is what we're sort of famous for. Letting the falcons fly free and learning all the skills very similar to a wild falcon.
Great. Before talking about all this, Ian, tell us about the beginning of breeding for young Garlands. When did you start that? Are you a falconer yourself?
Yeah, originally I was a falconer, and also intrigued to breed my own falcons for hunting and for flying, and sort of being a farmer, we had the space on the farm to do this.
This passion from a falconer towards breeding, was it a main reason for you to start thinking about your breeding?
Well, it was in those days, 30 years ago, it was hard to get falcons, so if we could breed our own, it would solve a big problem that we could get falcons because we could breed our own.
And what do you think about your journey, 30 years, as you mentioned?
Yeah, it's been a great life. It's a passion and it's an enjoyment. It's a way of life. It's not a job. We're here a lot of hours. But it's just a way of life, and it's been fantastic. Took me many places, seeing many things, and had many nice times.
Ian, as you mentioned, it's a way to live. It's a lifestyle. So that's why I think most of the breeder, they are having even their family getting into this. They are dragging their families to just take a part of the farm for the breeder, for the falconer, and being a part of this lifestyle.
Yeah, I've 3 sons and a daughter, but all my sons, they come and help on the farm. And my eldest son, Harry, he takes an active part now. We're here full time. Ollie, he's 17, he's still at college, but he likes to come, and as soon as he's finished his college, he comes to stay at the farm and help. And they all hunt birds themselves, so they enjoy this passion, and it's good.
Great. As you mentioned, talking about breeding, you started this a long time ago, 30 years ago. What do you see nowadays about breeding? How was it? How do you evaluate it nowadays?
Originally, when we started, it was in the dark. We didn't really know what we were doing, if it would work, if it would not work. Whereas now, we have a pretty good recipe to get most birds breeding either naturally, if they're good stock, or if not, we breed them artificially by AI. Things have moved a long way, and it's easier because we know we will get reasonable results.
Now technology is taking a big part out of the new breeding. We are seeing, let's say, the incubation, we are seeing inseminate some of the female birds, so we are seeing a different type of the new breeding. How do you see that? Is it helping a lot?
Yeah, it's helping a lot because if a bird doesn't want to breed naturally but it's a really good specimen, we know we can still produce from that bird and maybe bring that bird up bring the young stock, what we produce from that bird in a manner that they will breed naturally. So it sort of progresses the good stock, and we can breed selectively for nicer, bigger, stronger birds and birds that hunt well and just move it forward, and it's a lot more guaranteed now.
Yeah. Having bloodlines nowadays, we are seeing some of the breeders or some of the farms that are having their own bloodlines. It's turned to be something similar to the horses, let's say, to know, let's say, the father, the family of this bird, so you know what kind of bird that you're looking for.
Yes, the racing falcon is generally a different shape to what the traditional hunting falcon, which was a tall, long neck, whereas the racing falcon tends to be more of a stockier bird because it's just a sprint race. It's not like the hunting, which maybe go on for 2, 3, 4 kilometres. The racing is only 400 metres, 600 metres. It's so it's a slightly different shape of bird. But there are such birds in the wild because they must hunt this way to survive. So rather than sort of finding the birds that were for the hunting lines and the hunting shape, we're looking more for the racing for a shorter, stockier bird.
It's like the difference between, let's say, the long distance racing or something like endurance racing and the normal, let's say, sprint racing, as you said.
Yeah, just the same.
Great. But basically, which kind of bird do you think are more demandable nowadays? We are seeing a lot of tournaments, a lot of racing, especially in our region, let's say, in the Middle East or the Gulf in general.
Yeah, it's changing, because originally it was just the Ger and the Ger Peregrine for the racing, but now it's changing, and there's classes for the Peregrine and for the Seika. So and there's also more and more individuals racing rather than just everything by the sheikhs. So more and more people getting involved, which is, I think, better and nicer because it's more competitive when you've got 20, 30, 40 competitors rather than 4 or 5. And it's I think this is the real way forward, that it's not dominated by just a few sheikhs. It's more individuals, and then that's when the real fun will start, I think. And that'll be really good for the sport.
This kind of tournaments, this kind of races even increase the number of demand, and maybe it's decrease the prices of the birds because the farms and the breeders tend to be a lot nowadays. Do you think it's healthy for the economy? Is it healthy for this cycle of breeding falconers?
Yeah, it's good for the market, and it's good for the birds because we can afford the best of food, the best of facilities, the best of healthcare and everything. So it's good for the birds, in that sense. But it's also good for the falconers because if it's a bad year for the hunting, they also have, the hunting's not good. And in some years we've had troubles in the world and people don't travel. So now, rather than they've got no sport, they can, rather than hunting, they can go racing for that season. But maybe go back to hunting the following season, which is their true passion.
I see. How do you see, let's say, this as a factor for the breeder? Because, as you mentioned, like a lot of people trying to be a breeder nowadays. You started this a long time ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah. It's good for the market because it gives it more stability. But there's a lot of people jumping in now and starting, and it will be be because a lot of people think it's easier than it is to breed the Ger Peregrines, and the Jersey's okay, but it's a waiting game.
I see.
They breed quite easy, but you have to wait and invest a lot of money. Where the Ger Peregrines is a lot of time spent and a lot of work. They're not easy to breed.
This kind of tournament even increase, let's say, the competition between breeders and farms.
Yes, it does to a certain extent, but some farms specialise. They only sell birds for racing, or mainly for racing. But other farms are mainly for hunting, and You know, we are mainly hunting. You know, that's most of my customers are
I see.
hunting, and there's some for racing, but mainly hunting.
Great. You've mentioned something very important about, let's say, breeding, and you started this 30 years ago. Do you think it's a field where it's going by learning by doing? You have to try many different things to get a different result, or you think it's like a science where you have 1 + 1 = 2, as easy as this formula?
It's a bit of both.
Bit of both.
A bit of both. There isn't a perfect recipe, and there's some people do it different ways, but generally, to be pretty successful, most people are doing it quite similar for the breeding. There's no shortcuts. It's just time and hard work.
Basically, I ask you this kind of question because you started a long time ago. Maybe who gonna start nowadays? They have a lot of technology, a lot of the new way, or at least they have the information that they could share from different breeder. But at your time, there was basically nothing. Let's say.
No, in the old days it was trial and error, and you know, it was sad. Some of the birds we have we never bred with. Whereas if we had sort of specimens today, we would breed with most of them, and have their gene pool still going. But in those days it was a bit of trial and error, and you know, we didn't do so well. But we learnt.
Great. Let's say we'd like to talk also about the last or this breeding season. How do you see it? How do you evaluate it?
Yeah, it was a good season, but we had problems with eggs early on, and also my friends had the same. So it wasn't.
Which kind of problem?
Eggs taking longer to hatch and not hatching so well. Which there's no rhyme or reason why they should do this, but it was happening for myself and some friends in Austria and Czech and Poland.
So it's something really weird this year.
Something really weird, yeah.
Although you're having, let's say, a different method, but it has the same problem.
Yes. Yeah.
I see. Okay, let's talk about the jumpers that you're having here.
Yep.
How many males, females? If you would like to mention numbers.
Yeah, we run six semen donors. 1 Saker, 1 Peregrine, 4 Gers. And then we have about 40 female imprints for artificial insemination. And then we have 12 pairs of peregrines for natural breeding, 6 pairs of Gers for natural breeding, and then 8 pairs of Sakers for natural breeding.
As you mentioned, you prefer the pews kind of bird. So I think you always prefer the normal pairs of peregrine or normal pairs. Let's say,
I like the Sakers because I think it's beautiful. They're all different, and it's just something rather than just how heavy and things like this. The different shape of feather, different markings. I love peregrines. I love Gers. I think they're all pretty.
Great. I've asked this question to many breeders. Why do you think most of the people believe that the best peregrine are English or Scottish?
Don't know.
Is it like proven fact or something, or it's just?
Well, the results are there.
Yeah.
The results are there, but I don't know. It's maybe also that the good trainers have had their birds from the UK in the past. But I think in the UK the Gers are pure, so it's the Gers have come from generally the USA and they're pure.
Yeah. North American Ger, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a pure Ger into a Scottish peregrine, Scottish type of peregrine. Whereas some of the other countries, we're not so sure how pure the Gers are, and that's maybe the problem. But we'll never know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm asking this as well to all the breeders that I met. What's the percentage, let's say, for the bird and the falconer to have the perfect formula? Is it 50-50, you think, or it's more toward the bird than the falconer?
I think it's more towards the trainer.
Really?
Because they've all got good birds, and the same trainers pretty well are winning year in, year out.
Okay.
It's between a few trainers, but it'll be interesting now. There's more and more individual birds hunting, because then it will show the different trainers and they don't have so many birds, to train and to select from and to try and find those 5 special birds.
I see. Well, actually, we came to know that there might be a prize, let's say, for the best breeder for the tournament, which is happening in our country, United Arab Emirates. Do you think it's healthy for the breeder to be recognized by people in this industry? Yeah,
it'll be very nice. It'll be very nice to have recognition of this. the same as, you know, it happens in horse racing, that the breeder also gets, you know, a nice thank you.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ian, it was good to talk with you about many things. Let's have a quite good look on what's happening there in the hack and talk about the different spots in here. Have a look in there.
Okay.
I will just talk about that. مشاهدينا الكرام راح نشوف طبعا الهاك اللي يسويه إيان، وهو طبعا هاك في الخلا. راح نتابع شو المحطات اللي يوقف عنده والنوعية هذه من الطيور أو الهاك، شو الفوائد اللي منه، شو إيجابياته وشو سلبياته. خلكم ويانا. So Ian, we are in the hack right now.
Yeah, this is our hack field. It's in a good position on the farm, but on the top of the hill, so plenty of wind, which is really one good thing for the hacking is some wind, so they can learn how to fly in the different winds and play and get strong, and you know, it's quite important.
Yeah. So what are these stations?
Yeah, these stations are for this station here and this one here. These are just roosting stations. Then the falcons get a little bit more confident after about a week. And then we have the feeding stations where the food is put down and it's tied.
Yeah.
So the falcons don't learn bad habits to catch the food and fly away with it.
Okay.
They just land, take the food, feed, and then fly away.
This is the food station that you're talking about?
Yeah, the food station here.
Great.
And we have another 4 across the field here.
What about the rock that you are putting on it? Is it a particular one, let's say, for the birds?
They're natural rocks, so there's no sharp edges. But it's good for the birds to land on, keeps their talons. It's natural, it's what they're used to doing.
To make the nails sharper?
Yes, to make the nails sharper, and it also helps to stop the wind from blowing the food stations away. So.
Okay, great. This is one of the stations?
Yeah, this is one of the hack towers. This we have 7 falcons in at the moment. They'll probably be released in about 3 days.
How long does, let's say, a bird or a falcon stay inside?
We like to keep them in about 5 days, and then they can look out. They get their the natural orientation, the same as they would in the nest. You know, they don't just fly away and get lost in the nest. They come back and the parents feed them, and it's the same. They get a natural orientation, and they hopefully don't get lost. And you know, then they come back to the same place, to the same area. You know, there's always food for them. So
normally, when do you think like the falcon is ready to get to the hack?
Depends on the sex and the species, but it varies from about 35 days to about 45 days. And also, some years the falcons grow quicker than other years.
Okay. So you get to know let's say this is already ready.
Yes.
For being in a hack?
Yeah, we like to put them in about 7 days before they really start to fly. So they have 5 days locked in, 2 days just walking about on the side, and then they start flying.
Okay, let's see the station there. Let's see this tower. There's some birds in there.
Yeah, these guys were this tower's opened this afternoon. Here we have some Saker falcons, Ger falcon. There's, I think 7 birds in total.
Great.
And they're pretty steady.
Okay. How long do they stay in here in the tower?
They're from 2 weeks to 5 weeks.
From 2 to 5.
Some birds like the pure Shaheen, the male Sakers, the Ger Tibber, within 2 weeks they're trying to catch. And once they start to catch, they're self-sufficient and they move on. They don't need to stay here with another 50 falcons.
So this is the indicator, let's say, for you. When they start to catch, they have to get ready from
once they start to get a little independent and and at night time they maybe stay in the far trees or the power pylons. Then we trap them. They're ready for coming in then.
What's the capacity for each tower? Normally, there's a capacity of number.
Yeah,
of
about
falcons?
about 8 falcons.
Eight each.
Yeah.
And how many towers do you have in here?
We have 4 towers.
4. Okay. So 8 in each and 4 in total. 4 towers. Great. Do you mix them up?
Yeah. We mix them up the same as they would be, in the nest, males and females. But we also mix them up from different species, and it's not a problem.
Great. Okay. And after that, let's say you just know that if this bird start to hunt or start to grab something, that's it. You trap them?
Yeah, we see once they've been out for more or less the specified days, or unless they've been out and they're really starting to catch things and stay away from the farm, and we bring them in.
Okay.
You can see when they've mastered the flight, and they're starting to get independent. That's the time to bring them in.
Great. Okay. There is a big debate between breeders. Some of them they prefer, let's say, the pin hack, and some of them they prefer the wild hack.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
For me, there's no comparison.
Why?
The pen hack is just a small playpen, really. It's not a hack. They get exercise. They don't learn about wind, and they're not. With the hack falcon, it's very similar to the wild falcon. Trains very quickly, doesn't get stressed so much. So the wild hack falcon has less health problems than the pen falcons, because they're not stressed. One of the main problems with falcons, they get stressed, and then secondary infections like aspergillosis, red hat, and things like that becomes from stress. The hack falcon, we catch them within 1 hour. They're totally chilled. There's no problem. When we ship them, we don't have to put sheaves on or tape their tails up. We just wet them and put them in the box, and they come out the same. They don't stress. They're just chilled.
Great. So that's the positive, let's say, of the wild hack.
Yeah.
But also there is some kind of problem that you're having in here, I think. What are the negative side?
Well, we lose some to foxes.
Okay.
We lose some because they just fly away. I think we lose some because they fly away before they're independent.
Okay.
And they maybe perish. And then we get problems the same as people get in the pens, is we get birds, damaged wings and things like that.
I see.
But that can happen in the pen also. So, but it's just the bird is. It's not so much the physical side and the fitness side of it. It's the mental side of it that makes the hack falcon.
So as you mentioned, around 10% basically out of the bird could be lost, let's say, for many reasons. Either fox, let's say, to be eaten by a fox, or to just, get lost for some reason. Okay. Great. Great.
We got one back this spring.
Really?
From last year, after 10 months of hack.
Okay. So that's a good news.
So that'll be interesting to fly next year.
How could you find him?
An old guy trapped it, but he didn't sort of say how, but he got it.
Okay, good. And you get a call that's
we got a call because it has my ring on, and we have it.
Great. I see some of the birds here. I think you're having the feathers just to track them. Am I right?
Yes, we are. Every falcon has. We put a backpack on.
Okay.
And on the middle of the backpack, we put a transmitter.
Okay.
So every bird has a transmitter. They all have 2 bells. We put bells on the legs so we can hear them. So if they crash in the crops, we can find them with the transmitter. But the bell takes us, exactly there.
Great.
And it also, the local people, if they hear the bell, they know it's a falcon and not to shoot it, rather than it's a pigeon or something else.
Great. Let's see the other station. Let's go around.
I'll show you the trapping.
Yeah. We'll just go to the trapping and stand there, just talk about it. So basically, as you mentioned, 4 hacking towers, 8 maximum each in every tower.
Yes.
Great. And let's say after finishing from this batch, you just get them back, put another bed.
Yeah, we will put another batch in about every 10 days.
Every 10 days there is a new batch.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the trapper. And how many, let's say, food tower do you have?
4 food towers.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the trap. Okay. Shall we get down?
Yep.
Give me a second just to tell the people what's gonna do. يعني مشاهدينا الكرام طبعا راح ننزل ونتعرف على المصيدة الموجودة، كيفية طبعا تم زخ الطير بعد ما يتم فكه في الخلا. بالطريقة هذه طبعا هم ياخذون الطير من الخلا ويرجعونه مرة ثانية بعد ما قضى فترة في طبعا الوايلد هاك أو الفك في الخلا. نتابع.
منتجع الفرسان الرياضي الدولي بمدينة خليفة ألف بأبو ظبي يوفر المنتجع أرقى المرافق لممارسة الرماية، الرياضات المائية، الفروسية، قيادة السيارات، رياضة البينت بول والعديد من الرياضات والأنشطة الترفيهية، بالإضافة إلى نادي صحي وقاعات اجتماعات ومطاعم فاخرة. منتجع الفرسان الرياضي الدولي بمدينة خليفة ألف بأبو ظبي، وجهتكم الجديدة للرياضة والترفيه. للمعلومات زر الفرسان.com أو الاتصال على 0255685555.
أعرق سباقات الخيول البريطانية لجميع الأعمار. السباق الذي يضم أشهر الخيول في العالم. سباق الملك جورج للخيول على قناة ياس.
So Ian, we are with a trap on here. Tell us, how does it work?
Yeah, we put food on here, and we don't put any food on the feeding stations. So all the falcons have to come through here for the day to trap. So generally the falcons that have been out the least amount of time will come in. So we have to keep replenishing the food, and then maybe after 20-30 falcons have been through, the falcons that are ready for coming in, they're a little bit wilder, a little bit warier. They come in, and Dean stays in the trailer for the whole time, and hiding there. When he sees the right falcon, he pulls the trap, grabs the falcon.
So it's let's say selectivity. You just choose the falcon that you'd like to trap.
Yes, yeah. We don't trap en masse. We don't trap on a certain date. We trap when we think the falcons are ready to come in. Some learn quicker than others, so some need to be trapped.
Okay. And there's only one trap, I think, in here.
Yeah, just one trap. Yeah.
One trap. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you have this bed which is close to this trap, and the other two towers are quite far from here.
Yeah.
Not very far. I mean, they're just the other side.
Yeah, but nothing for a falcon.
Yeah, of course, they could fly. And here, that you're having something for them just to land on.
Yeah, just a carpet.
Okay.
To protect their feet and things like that.
Great. And then this side as well, you have some food station?
Yeah, food station here and one here.
So how many in this side and how many on that side?
We've got 2 feed stations that side and 2 feed stations at this side.
Okay, so total 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all the food's always tied down.
Great.
So the falcons don't fly away with the food.
Normally, as you mentioned, it depends on the falcon himself or itself to know if it's ready to be trapped or not.
Yes, yeah, we will watch falcons, and once a falcon starts roosting away from the hack site, you see it chasing pigeons or crows.
Okay.
We need to get it back then, because he's pretty independent. He's ready.
He's ready for the next step.
He's ready for the falconer to train.
Okay, great. As you mentioned, you always prefer a wild hack, and you said it's proven that it's better, as you think.
Yeah, I'm a total believer in the wild hack. The falcon is just so much more relaxed, which helps it with its health, and it learns to hunt quicker. It just makes the falcon's life so much easier, and it's so much easier for the falconer because most of the work's been done. He's only just got to do a little obedience, and everything else is there.
Do you think the hack pen is the best, let's say, for a race falcon? Maybe the wild hack is the best for the hunting falcon. You think so, or?
I don't know. The race falcons, the pens have done well with the racing recently, but in other years, the hack falcon was doing very well. So because the falcon learns if it's strong wind, he learns to fly very low. If it's a high wind from behind, he would learn to go up a bit because he knows that from flying a hack. So, and the health is better. So maybe we will see.
As you mentioned, it's kind of, let's say, proven or preference maybe for each breeder, the type of the hack. Although, as you mentioned, the bad and the negative side of the wild hack is that you lost some bird.
Yeah, we lose some bird, but I think it's an early loss rather than a later loss. With getting red at and not a nice time. Whereas we lose a few. Foxes kill some, but we're always trying to catch the foxes as much as possible.
Right.
But
that's Dean role, I think.
Pardon?
That's the Dean job.
Yeah, well, everybody does it. Friends come and everything with the rifles, come at night vision to watch.
There is any kind of procedures here to just, let's say, prevent the falcons from a fox or any kind of danger?
No, we put transmitters on every falcon. We check they're safe at the night time. Dean lives up here and he's here all the time. He's like the shepherd in the mountain with the sheep. He's keeping an eye on his flock all the time and making sure they're safe. So we use what we can, but you can't. When we've got 50 falcons at hack, it's
too much.
It's quite a lot.
Quite a lot, yeah. As you mentioned, a lot of friends are even helping.
Yes.
With rifles, killing fox, and just watching that.
Yeah, they just come to watch the falcons and maybe should see a fox, but it's nice to come in an evening and sit for a few hours and watch the falcons and keep an eye out for a fox.
Great. You mentioned that basically during the hack you don't prefer, let's say, it's not good for, let's say, a lot of people to walk around inside the hack.
No, it's a little bit like in Africa with on safari.
Yeah.
The falcons will put up with the quad bike, they will put up with vehicles driving about quite close, but people on foot, that's a natural danger, and
they think maybe they are hunters.
Yeah, they just fly away the same as they would in the wild. It's a natural instinct.
I see. You just have Dean here as squad, let's say, to just check the birds.
Yeah, Dean's here full time to check the he lives up in the on the hack field, and he's here all the time.
Great.
And he enjoys it.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. Just have a word then with Dean to just ask him about his role.
Yep.
What do you think here?
Yeah, no problem.
Let's go.
Yeah.
مشاهدينا الكرام، طبعا راح ناخذ جولة معاكم حاليا بعد ما عرفنا الحك من هنا. راح نكمل جولتنا لكن مع دين الشخص المسؤول طبعا عن الطيور خلال فترة وجوده في الحك. خلكم ويانا. welcome on Yas TV. Good to have you with us.
Hi.
Thank you for your time. I know that you are busy and during this season you have a lot of birds to just look after, but thanks for having us.
No problem at all. Yep.
Tell us, we are on the wild hack in here. What's happening?
Well, basically, today we've, well, this morning we've just let open one of the hack towers behind us, as you can see. And they're just young falcons at the moment, so today's sort of a bit quiet. They normally take a couple of days for them to get airborne, if you like to say. And once they get airborne, then obviously, you know, that's when we start really, you know, doing the wild hacking, obviously keeping an eye on them, making sure that they're stopping around the area, and is making sure that they're safe, more so than anything else. But at this moment in time, though, it's just keeping an eye on them, making sure that, you know, when they're out and inspecting, because they're young, it's not falling off the actual hack towers, because they've still got to find their wings and feet, if you like to say, at the moment.
Great. Ian was telling us like it's take around 3-4 days for the birds, couple of weeks maybe to start to fly after putting them here.
Yeah, normally, as I say, certainly the females, they normally take a lot longer than the males for them to get going, you know, for them to fledge. Sometimes the males can, obviously, because they're a little bit smaller, they tend to develop a lot quicker. And as the females, as I say, sort of 3 or 4 days before they can get airborne. And as the whole idea is to try and put the falcons into the hack towers, you know, before they actually can fly, before they fledge. If we can put them in the hack towers 2 or 3 days before we open the doors, it makes our life, or my life, a lot easier. And it's because they open the door and they'll sit for 2 or 3 days. You know, watching some of the older birds for feeding, also getting used to the area, and just me coming up and checking them, and, you know, and Ian, so they get used to the vehicles as well. And they soon realise that vehicles are not a danger to them. You know, some falcons get pretty clever and they soon realise food's on its way. So they learn very quick, very quick.
Yeah. Tell us about, let's say, the food station around here. You are having few in here, a few on the other side.
Well, we have a few food stations. Generally, the idea is, well, we normally feed them 3 times a day.
3 meals a day.
3 meals a day.
No snacks, eh?
No snacks in between. But normally, see, because we can have up to, you know, 50 falcons at a time flying around, and obviously it's a lot of food, so we have the food boards. And we, you know, there's normally, you know, more than enough every time to feed, and the idea is to have food left over a little bit, and it's because we do get the wild birds coming in as well, like the crows, you know, they're coming in taking food as well. Normally they don't hang around for long, not when there's 50 falcons flying about, they're generally sort of in and out very quickly, and this year especially we've raised a lot of the stuff up, made them a lot higher. Obviously, you know, in the past we have to be careful about the wild predators like foxes really coming in, and it, you know, one of the last things of the day really is to come up here at sort of last light, just to make sure that they're all roosting up high. Generally we light them up, you know, a good 8 foot, 10 foot up, you know, so just going around checking where each one is. Obviously foxes can jump, you know, so we don't want them, you know, any lower than sort of 8 foot really, you know, before the daylight goes. And then up again, normally first light, just before first light, make sure, because, you know, a lot of people think that they don't fly around in the night, but they do move, they do move around in the night. It is, and because they're young, sometimes they can slip off as well, you know, so you don't want them sitting there all night and on the ground. So the idea is to put plenty of, you know, places that they can get up high. It is, because obviously that's what birds of prey are like, falcons, you know, they like to be high. It is, so this is what these guys, you know, they're quite happy where they are. And generally, because we've raised a lot of things, this year they seem a lot more happier as well, being higher.
Great. You mentioned the food, 3 meals a day. There's any kind of specific food to be served for the falcon during the hack? Or normally they are just having the normal food? Yeah,
we normally give them a varied diet. You know, that's what we like to do, is varied diet. You know, the more different variety of food, obviously different food does different things to the falcons as well. You know, I mean, some food up here especially, when we're tying the food to the food boards, the idea is that we tie the food to the food boards. So there's certain food that we can't, because obviously when we tie them down, the falcons, you know, pull it off and they end up carrying it. They end up flying it and taking it somewhere else to feed. You know, and then later on in life, wherever the falcon ends up in its destination, then, you know, it teaches it bad habits. You know, if the falconer, he or she, is hunting the birds, you know, it teaches them to take the food elsewhere. You know, we don't want them doing that. So we tie the food down, and hopefully they'll eat it where they're actually, you know, where it's put. And so we give them a whole different variety of food, and generally you know, so we try and give them as much as they can eat, because they're still growing, you know, they're turning, hopefully, that fat into muscle and, you know, becoming big, strong falcons.
It's funny, it's like you are just raising up a baby or a kid, just to teach them, let's say, to have their food on the table, not to take it away and so throw it away. So it's the same, I think, to just give them some good habits for the falcons.
That's it, yeah. We are basically, you know, we're sort of, to a certain degree, we're trying to teach them the best we can. You know, the big problem is that we can't fly. You know, they can do it. It is, but we try and teach them, and you know, from sort of day one, really. You know, we don't want to become, you know, build up a bond with the birds, because, you know, they're wild hack falcons. The idea is you've got to, you know, we check them, stay out the way, and let them, you know, be wild as much as we can. It is, but hopefully, you know, that they learn themselves. A lot of them, we're just sort of there to pick up the pieces when the one takes a flight and it crashes into the field, and we go then pick it up and fetch it back, you know, and give it a second chance, and hopefully it gets it right the second time. So third time we start getting a bit annoyed ourselves, because, you know, keep walking in and out of these fields, it's hard work on a hot day. So hopefully once we get them back, and, you know, they'll try again. But normally, you know, they learn very quickly. You know, they, you know, obviously they know what they're doing.
As you mentioned that, Ian told us, like, you've lost a bird for 10 months, and finally the farm get it back because somebody trapped it, and they just called you to bring it back to here. Yeah,
we do have one or two that venture. That one, you know, 10 months, that's quite a long time. That is, we'd probably liked it back a bit sooner than 10 months, but it's nice to get them back. And it just shows as well that, you know, the birds that, you know, we do have one or two birds every year, because the amount of birds that we hack, that they will wander. You know, you get hot days, you get a day like today when it's warm, you know, you've got a good breeze, and they're going up and up and up and high, you know, and when the falcons are going really high, the things that they see up there must be amazing. And because they're young, they sort of, you know, get interested in things elsewhere, you know, and they go off and have a look and get a little bit lost, if you like to say. But generally, most of the birds that do wander, we get back, you know, hopefully, you know, within a few days, it is, or, you know, certainly in a couple of weeks. But we do have them going, you know, length and breadth of the country, some of them. It is, but they, you know, it just shows that they are wild act. You know, they can, you know, they're not just here in pens. They're, you know, they can go wherever they want.
As you mentioned the pens, I've asked Ian about that. I'd like also to have your opinion about it. What do you think? Why, let's say, some breeder or some falcon prefer the wild hack and the other one prefer the pen hack?
Maybe with the wild hack, you know, the birds seem to learn, you know, really quickly. You know, they're using their natural elements, you know, the wind, you know, they know how to cope in sort of different weather, from rain, wind to sort of, you know, the extreme heat that we get here. And the bird seems to just progress a lot quicker, you know, and it's landing on different perches, i.e. the tops of trees. Some falconers say, well, you know, we don't want falcons sitting on anything. It is, but again, you know, it's learning, they're learning as well. See, obviously, once we let the birds out, the females, they can be out up to 3 weeks. Well, you know, certainly in the UK, we don't get 3 weeks of good weather, you know, they see everything. And it makes the falcons, you know, the feathers on the falcons, you know, even the rain, you know, makes them better, you know, and builds the oils up, you know, it gives them a stronger feathers. And the same with, you know, the sun, you know, changes the colour slightly in them as well. As far as the hat pens go, I just think that these are a lot fitter. You know, they're just, a wild hat bird is just a lot fitter, and seems to be a lot calmer as well. I mean, when these, you know, these birds here, when they're flying about and we've trapped them, you know, we literally put the equipment on, put the hood on from the trailer there, the trapping trailer, sit on your glove, and I can ride down on the quad, and it'll just sit there. And it's, you know, and that's sort of the first time it's ever been handled, but it's been out in 3 weeks' time. So I think a lot of it is down to fitness, and also as well, you know, they know how to use the wind to their advantage as well at the same time. And it also, you know, one or two of the falcons do chase stuff. You know, they're learning as well. It is, you know, they're chasing wild animals that are around here. You know, so they partly, maybe, you know, 3/4 they're already trained. You know, once that falconer gets these bird, or she gets these birds. So, but yeah.
You've mentioned the trap. So I think it's a hard job for you to just stay inside, as I know that you are selective to trap the bird that you would like to, because basically if you have a lot of food in there, many birds will just come into the food to have their food. So you just have to wait for the right moment to just trap the bird that you would like to trap.
Yeah, that's it. You know, when we have you know, up to 50 falcons out, and we may have one falcon to come in that day. You know, we have to tie the food onto the trap, and we put, you know, maybe 2 pieces of food on, and each bird will generally come through one by one. Well, if yours is the 50th bird, you have to sit there and wait for 49 birds to have their food, and then, you know, trap that one. Some days we can be sat in the trailer for 2 or 3 days before that bird comes in. Yeah, because, see, if you only want one bird on that trap that you're waiting for to be trapped that day, you've still got to feed the other birds. You can't just starve them to wait for your bird. So once you feed them all, so it's a fine balance, and, you know, and as we get into the season, into the middle of it, it becomes extremely hard, because some falcons have been out here for 3 weeks, and they know exactly what that trap is. When they go in there, am I coming back out of it? And, you know, so sometimes falcons have been known to actually sit and stare at it for 3 or 4 days and not come in, and then all of a sudden, you know, their appetite takes over, comes in, and you know, we trap it. It is. So it is a patience game, and you know, and it is, sometimes it's, you know, the days get really long. Then some days we have, you know, 7 or 8 falcons that we need to trap on that day that are due in, and some days I can trap 8 birds in half an hour. So, you know, days go quick.
It's like going fishing.
That's it. You know, you can have brilliant days and, you know, bad days as well. It is, and, you know, the trapping isn't just about sort of pulling the trap down. You've then got to go in and, you know, grab the falcon carefully but quickly, because one, you don't want to damage it. Secondly, you know, we want as less stress as we can for it, for the falcon as well. So, you know, it's quite a, you know, a patience thing, and also sometimes it can get a little bit tricky at times, you know, with groups of falcons going on there.
Great. Dean, it was lovely to talk with you. Thank you for the lot of information that you provide us with. You also tell us about the hard job that you're doing in here.
Thank you.
Trapping birds and staying there for a couple of days. So thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
مشاهدينا الكرام، طبعا دين والجزء الصعب اللي يقوم فيه من خلال طبعا التراب او من خلال المصيدة الموجودة والايام اللي يقضيها في الداخل بانتظار الطير المناسب اللي المفروض انه يزخها في هذه الفتره وانه يزخها فيها فتره اخرى، وبانتظار طبعا 50 طير في فتره حك واحده، فبالتاكيد فترات طويله يقضيها في داخل الغرفه الخاصه. زاويه اخرى ولا زلنا متواصلين، خلكم ويانا. إذا مشاهدينا الكرام، كنا مع السيد إيان في هذا اليوم وتعرفنا على جزء مهم وهو الوايلد هاكينج أو إطلاق الطيور في الخلاء وفتش الطيور في الخلاء. Ian, thank you for the good time that we spent today with you. We had a good information. We knew a lot of things about the wild hacking, and thanks for your good time.
No, you're welcome to come and see, and it's nice to be able to show you a little bit of what we do.
Yeah, you have an open invitation to come to Dubai and Abu Dhabi to see the tournaments, please, for the next season. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you, that's really good of you.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you.
Thank you.
نص وهج على هوقه عسيد شامان الكحيلي فرخ ومرخي له سبوقه اسود وسمي ابو ليلي شاهين فرخ وانا شوقه اقطم ومنسف الجبالي اقلط ثنادي ومنتوقه ساوى النوايف مع الذيلي كبر المناكب ومفوقه جبر رغيب وقوي حالي أرض وضبة ومعتوقة وفراعنا له ظليلي يا حي شوفه مرفوقة يا زين وجهه مع سهالي عابر مع برقة بروقه صادوم وكر طرف سيلي قوز وعده ندر سوقه قالوا مزاد بالصليلي هبوا زبونه معشوقه وزاد الحبين له الكالي خذناه والنفس مشفوقه وثلى طباع مع الشالي مطفوق والعين مطفوقه قضعه على البرق وخبالي يلحق ويعجبك بالحوقه ما شاف عيني الوالي نبغى هداده ورا لوقه ولا العماره على عويل